What if I told you that we knew what some of the upcoming status effects for dinosaurs were for the game? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be surprised, but I'm also sure you'd probably want to know what they were. So let's talk about them and then discuss some theories on what I think they could be for. Let's get right into it. So the first thing is, what even are they and how did we even find out about them? Well, this was found out on the public test branch for the game prior to the update that recently releasing. The major update, the one that released Trophy and everything. This was something that came prior to that releasing and was found on the public test branch by a bunch of Path of Titans players. These were acquirable through a command which is /get_all_attributes or get all attr. I'm not sure which way it's actually spelled. It's either get attr all or get all attr. Either way, it's one of them. You could try it yourself, which you then could use to apply the specific status effect onto your dinosaur itself. Then this is how we knew what the status effects were, and these are what the status effects are that we know about. There's technically 3 or 4 depending on how you look at it. These are Mud, Toxin, Paralysis, and Paralysis Immunity. So there is technically 4. I mean, Paralysis and Paralysis Immunity go hand in hand. You can pretty much subtract them both and make it 3. These are shown with their own icons as well, which means these are already pretty much set in stone with their icons in the game as well. Now, of course, that's all we know mainly, but we can spin up some theories and discuss some other stuff that we know so far, especially for Toxin and Paralysis. So let's talk about them all. We are starting off with arguably, in my eyes, the most boring one, the most basic one in terms of what we know so far, and that is the Mud status effect. So far, it literally has its icon. That's it, and we know that it exists as a status effect, but its muddy icon is pretty much just an icon, and that's all we know. However, what do I think this could be for? And I'm going to ask you guys as well, what do you think it could be for? Let me know in the comments. But in my eyes, I think the mud status effect could tie heavily to the new mud items that are on the map, because in the last update for the game, we coincidentally got brand new items which you could pick up or walk through, which was mud, and this status effect seemingly appeared the same time that this item appeared. Obviously, the status effect you can't even get anyway, but like it in the code existed. Now, my theory on how this could work is tied into 2 ideas: preventing or reducing status effects, or preventing or reducing wetness. Now, if we were going for the status effect route, this will be the same route that the Isle of Rima goes down, because you can wallow in mud when you are bleeding, and it will essentially act in a way where your bleed is reduced at the time that your bleeding is reduced, and it also stops the scent of you, or heavily reduces the scent of you for dinosaurs that are hunting you and using scent to find you. That being said, in my eyes, it will be slightly different. It will apply to both bleed and venom, and when you get the muddy effect, it reduces the time that you are bleeding or envenomated. It'll probably work better for envenomated, but then again, envenomated's in your blood anyway, so like, I don't know, it probably wouldn't even work that way. That being said, bleed is definitely one of the status effects there. The other one in my eyes is for wetness, because when you're wet, that lasts a very long time, and we currently have no way to reduce that, but we also have attacks like drenched blows that deal more damage when you are wet. So I think you could wallow in the mud, and it could make it so you have temporary reduced effectiveness of being wet, but also make you wet for less amount of time. So say you had 3 minutes of wet and then you found mud and rolled in it, it'd go down to 1 minute of being wet, so cut a third or 2/3 of it off. However, mud is pretty much the one that has the most guesses around on how it would work, but I can definitely see it tying into that new mud item that's in the game. It gets very interesting now, and we are on to my favorite one, Toxin. This is a temporary debuff that is identified with the canyon in the flesh icon, but is also showcased via something else that is very important. Look at the health bar, because in the image, the health bar is visible, and the dinosaur's health is technically reduced with a skull next to it. And in my eyes, I'm pretty sure that identifies the point in which the new point where the dinosaur died. So when you have Toxin in, then if your health hits where that skull is, you die, and you don't get the extra quarter or whatever is still left to go in that health bar. That's what I think it is. I think it's a reduced health cutoff. This is a temporary debuff. Now, of course, let's skirt back. How do I think this will work? I think this will not come from a dinosaur, but if it did come from a dinosaur, it's coming from a dinosaur that's not currently in the game. Something maybe like Miragaia could have toxin spikes, maybe. And Miragaia is an interesting topic right now because a new paper just came out basically saying that it is a junior cinnamon of a different dinosaur. So, I mean, that's a video in itself. However, I strongly think that when it comes to toxin, you're gonna get it from plants. For example, in the game's creator mode, we currently have an item that we can place down, which is poison berry bushes, different to the standard berry bushes. These you can't even eat, you can't even find them in the map, they're just there in creator mode. Maybe it could tie into that, where there are some plants that you could eat, and it will apply toxic effects to you, like the toxin status effect. And this could tie heavily into the foliage overhaul that the game is currently going through. Yes, we know a lot of foliage is being changed, but we don't have any interesting foliage that could damage your dinosaur or provide buffs or debuffs to your dinosaur. Now, the last one to me is Paralysis. This brings our own sleep paralysis demons to the game of Path of Titans. The Paralysis ability comes in two segments: Paralysis and Paralysis immunity. I see you probably knew that by now. This is signified by two blue icons which show a claw. The dark blue one is Paralysis and the light blue is the immunity, so they apply pretty much with each other. That being said, Paralysis seems to be applied in a 3-second stack, so you have it for 3 seconds, and that's applied at the same time as a 15-second of immunity from the Paralysis. Now, I don't think, in my eyes, this is tied to an attack. And the reason why I say this isn't tied to an attack is because Paralysis as an attack would be insanely strong. 3 seconds of Paralysis, 15 seconds without it, then you can get 3 seconds of Paralysis again. So every 15 seconds, you get 3 seconds of Paralysis from an attack. I don't think that is manageable for any player, any dinosaur. That will be far too OP. So in my eyes, once again, I think this will tie into some form of food that you eat, some form of debuff that you get, not from dinosaurs. I think it will be completely different. If it was from dinosaurs, I don't think it'll be every 15 seconds. I think it'd be every minute or 2, because that is huge as a buff. Anyways, that is that. A big thank you to Doki, who also goes by Dokals on YouTube, who helped me, who told me about this, and then sent me all the stuff and the information and helped me figure out what it was and explained it to me. So a big thank you to you. And of course, a big shout out to all the people who found out about these stats effects in the Path of Titans community, because obviously, this is some interesting stuff. Now, I don't think you can actually apply these at the moment anymore. I think that's been changed and patched out, but these definitely did exist on the public test bench for the game, and it's definitely something we should keep an eye on in the future. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you want to check out another video, check out this one where I outlined what I think is coming in the next update for the game. Other than that, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Peace.